信仰心があって、やっぱり神に祈る気持ちがあって、人間が作るものは完全なものではないから、いかにこのような政治制度を作ればいいとか、このような法律を作ればいいとか思ったとしても、その上に神あるいは仏という概念があって、その心を映したものを地上で代理で政治家とか、法律家とかそういう方々が作って、それを執行する人たちがやることが善であるという考え方はありえますけれども、そうでないものも出てきたということですね。例えば現代においては、民主主義とか、議会制、政党制、それから法治国家の思想とか、大体西洋型のデモクラシーの考え方は、普遍的な価値として受け入れられつつはありますが、全部が受け入れられないものもその中にはあります。例えば先ほど言いました法治主義にいたしましても、結局この世の人間たちの代表が多数決で最終的に決めることになりますので、この世の常識が違ってた場合と、それから多数を占める人たちが、そういう神に祈るような人々ではない間違った考え方や自分の利害に基づいて、その利権を押し通すために、ある種の法律を作って自分たちの権利を維持しようとする形で作っていった場合には、その法律そのものもこの世を地獄にしてしまう力を持っていると思います。また過半数の方々がそういう信仰のない、あるいは場合によっては悪魔のそそのかしを受けるようなこの世の誘惑の中に生きているような人になった場合、選挙型民主主義も残念ながら完全なものとは言えません。また、一党独裁とか、専制、政治をやっているような方々のトップが考えることが、神のことを正しいという考え方で国民をまとめ、それは何億人いようとも十何億人いようとも、そういう考え方がもし神の心から離れていたならば、十数億の例えば国民を洗脳して一定の考え方以外は受け入れさせないと。で、国民に対してはあなた方は自由であると、政治以外に関してはというようなことを押し付ける場合もあります。政治においてその指導者を批判することは許されない。中国においてもそうですね。北朝鮮においてもそうなっています。ミャンマーにおいても軍事的な今リーダーになっている人を批判することは許されなくなっていくと思うし、ですからこの世にいる権力者が自らを神と同じような全知全能の力を持つ者として守り始めた時に、残念ながらこの世の地獄がまた現れることもあるということであります。
So yes, that was another great lecture on how this world is turning into a place of hell, honestly. He gives concrete examples of how a certain way of being and thinking can create a hell on earth. But it really makes you wonder if your own presidents, your own country, do they talk as if they have ultimate control over your life? Do they talk like they are God almost? And that's a very dangerous territory. In one way, people might think, oh, I'm being taken care of. They care about me. But I think that ultimately human beings are innately, they feel freedom in their hearts. And when they're being restricted, hopefully they can awaken to something in them that tells them something is wrong, something's not right. So I wonder about people, but they don't have the tools to make that decision. That's why having faith is your moral compass, your everything compass.
Thanks, Mariko. It's like, you know how you said you have to check whether your politicians are trying to take control of your life or not. I think that's a really good point, because I see, like, at least in the Biden administration, they use beautiful words like for humanitarian aid, for fundamental human rights, or in the name of democracy. They do something that's totally opposite of democracy, but they use those terms to like block themselves from being criticized by the media. However, what Master just taught us is that if we do not have faith in God, even democracy, parliamentary systems, political party systems, or the rule of law can actually turn this world into hell. And that's so true, right? And not going away from the Biden administration, but going back to CCP China. You know how in 2019 they had the Hong Kong national security law, and that's how they took over the people of Hong Kong, right? They used a law to take away people's freedom. So their rule of law is not like supreme value to be able to truly bring happiness and prosperity and peace. But it's like, so I guess what Master was teaching us, what I got out of this is it's not the shape of the government, but the contents of the governance. You have to look into the contents. And that is how, going back to what you said, Mariko, if you have this knowledge, you'll be able to weave through those lies of beautiful words and truly see what they're trying to do. So that's my take.
Yeah, it is about the content. And there's this one quote that says, democracy is the worst form of government except for all the other forms that have been tried. So that's a really good quote. But essentially, the thing about democracy is if the majority of people are attuned to the world of hell, or if their thoughts are hellish, that means that the common opinion of the people is wrong. So if the majority is thinking incorrectly about an issue, then democracy makes the wrong decision. So it's kind of this like state where democracy can only work if the people are virtuous, or if they have enough self-restraint to, quench their animalistic desires. Where, we have to keep in mind that democracy easily falls into a mobocracy when people start to get caught up with wrong ideas, or ideas of jealousy or hatred or things like that. So that's the kind of safeguards that we have to keep in our mind in order to make right decisions in the political world.
Yeah, and I feel like we're being lured so much by the government, and I guess like in a way governments have always done that. We will do this in order for that, or things like that. But I've never seen or felt so lured in my life. For example, we have a Black vice president, or we have the very first LGBT person in our administration. It's not about content. It's about the color of their skin. It's about who they represent. A huge minority, sure, but can they do the job? It almost doesn't matter anymore. And it's something that Martin Luther King Jr. fought for, to be considered equal in content and character, not by the color of their skin. So it's really ironic how people can listen to this and be fooled and think, oh yeah, this sounds great. This is progressive. This is good for us. And look at the world, look at what America has done in the world in the span of the last 6 months. It's gone to hell, basically. So I wonder, I know that a lot of Democrats are waking up, but yeah, it's about seeing this coming, I think is what's really important. And what Master has been telling us for 30 years almost, this kind of mindset. It's like, I don't like to use the word self-governance, but self-responsibility, because there's always God above you. But yeah, I feel it's a scary time, but yeah, we need more wisdom. We need more direction.
Thank you, Marco. And I'm going to jump on to what both of you said. Dylan, earlier you said that democracy will only work if people have virtue and self-restraint. And Mariko, you mentioned that people will need self-responsibility. And all of these things, God is required. Spirituality is required for us to be able to become more virtuous, overcoming our animalistic instincts, self-restraint, that's again, overcoming our animalistic instinct. People say like, I remember reading Samuel Smiles' book, Self-Help. He calls for self-restraint and like self-responsibility, all of it put together. he says it's self-denial. I thought that was a strong word. It's a self-denial. You're denying your false self in happy science terms, right? But again, this kind of like contemplative view, being able to control yourself means in our teachings, right? There's a guardian spirit and we're trying to see ourselves objectively. It's the principle of self-reflection that's taught in us. And, that's why Master even says the human condition, we have to become a contemplative person, or else we're just going to be a programmed like a robot or like just a piece of an object that will just follow what the media says or follow what is, good to your agenda. And we can't control ourselves anymore. So, this section was talking about how dangerous a godless society, godless democracy can turn into a mobocracy. But for people who ask, why do you need God? There you go. That's my answer. It's for the development of ourselves.
Yishi, that was the best way it could have been put. It was really wonderful the way you said that. If you ask people like about the separation of church and state, I think, maybe 90 people out of 100 will probably say it's a good thing to separate church and state. But there's never any objective analysis of pros and cons. There's a lot of cons behind the idea of separation of church and state. And some of them are like, just as you mentioned. So people are, without God in their equation, people are naturally selfish and they don't want to engage in self-denial. They want to impose their thoughts and opinions on others and essentially brainwash, Master Okawa said in that lecture, brainwash their people into their own way of thinking. So the thing about a humble leader with faith in God is that they understand that their thoughts are not perfect and that they still have a long way to go. So they have to humbly, tame their own desires and think objectively from a higher perspective how they can make society better from a more advanced perspective, which is God. God is the ultimate decision maker and ultimate arbitrator of society's morals, ethics, and values. And so they have to keep themselves restrained in that sense in order to be a good leader.
Yes, it's quite simply live as if God is watching, right? And to have all those things you mentioned, to be humble, to do the right thing, and to live as if, everything you do matters, is not just a selfish thing anymore. You're interconnected with others in this world, and especially to God. That will really help you create a pipeline of like stability in life, but also like outwardly too. You can, I feel like we can improve the world through faith. And it's like the only way. It's like the way we are created by God. Therefore, we have the power to like improve this world. It's really in our hands, but only if we're connected to God. And a lot of these people who don't have faith are trying to act as if they are God. And it's a very self-centered world we live in, especially America. I feel like they have self-centered syndrome where they're so into themselves. Their rights come before anything. It's really amazing. It's really scary what's happening, especially with the young people. Having a business, there's a lot of young people that work for us, and it's not about, they're always thinking, what can I get? It's default mentality. What can I get? They never think, what can they give? And I was thinking about this the other day. People who have the mentality of, how can I get money? They're already in the poor mindset, in a poverty mindset, not a godly mindset. It's how do I make money? How do I produce something? It's not how do I get something? So I really feel like there's a major mind shift that needs to happen in America. We're no longer that America anymore. And it's really heartbreaking to me to see.
You put it so well, Mariko. I love how you just connect words and it just makes so much sense. And it like you speak for all of us. Like what was like this like inkling that was in our hearts when we see the whole world right now, especially the younger generation. You phrased it really well. But Master recently wrote a novel, right? It's coming out in English soon. But in it, he uses a name of the U.S. president. His name is Obamiden, President Obamiden. Due to his presidency, he writes in the novel, 50% of young Americans don't believe in God. And I think, like, it's novel, but I think that's some kind of statistics he got from. So, but I do feel that more than half of these young people don't believe in spirituality or God anymore. And that is really, really deteriorating our country. And this video is going to be shown in the whole world, so I don't want to stick too much in America. But since the whole world is following American democracy, I guess it's important to point out the mistakes in it. You can't talk about democracy without God. That's not American democracy. Look at the bills. In God we trust. All right? And look at the Declaration of Independence, the unalienable rights that's it's bestowed upon us by our Creator, right? Faith is like the basic fabric of American democracy. And Master has taught us that was all guided by Thoth, which is the branch spirit of El-Kantari, the supreme god of earth. So without God, without faith, it won't properly function. And rewinding all the way back to what Dylan said earlier about the separation of church and state, a lot of people, bring that up in a debate, how we shouldn't combine like religion and politics. But you see, there are the cons. And however, fundamentally, the reason why this was written was so that not a specific church, not a specific religion will take over the government and take over the people's freedom. That's why it's written in. It's to restrain one specific religion take over. That doesn't mean that religion doesn't have a say in politics at all. So I'm just babbling on, but just wanted to throw out there what I felt from the conversation we've been having so far.
This was another one of our profound episodes, thanks to our hosts, Yushi and Mariko. Again, I'm Dylan. We have 3 seasons of Invitation to Happiness that you can find online on YouTube. We have 8 episodes in each season, so many different topics. So I hope you can tune in and watch our episodes, and please share it out. So again, this book that we've been discussing is The Laws of Messiah, and you can find it at bookstores near you, such as Barnes & Noble, or online on Amazon.com. So I'm really grateful for our audience who is, can spread our episodes out and, let people know that what's going on from God's perspective and how we can solve the world's problems today. Thank you very much.